Hi, hi, hi. Hello. Okay, so I think Instagram is doing me a favor. Yay! They're telling everyone I'm live. Hi, Rere. Rere, if you can hear me, I sent. So I already accepted the invite. Hi, Rere. I already accepted. I don't know what's happening. Okay, let me see. I don't know. Can you see it now? Let me send the request. Okay, so I've sent a request on my end. Can you see it? I've sent a request. Saying Rere is unable to join. Why? What's happening? Sending another invite. It should not be network. Please, network. Oh, we are begging you. Ah!
Hi,
I'm so-
I'm so oh my goodness, let me just move this away.
you should see my joy. Like I'm like,
Oh my god.
hi, Rere.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. It's so good to see you again.
Um, it's been so long. I think last year, 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago.
Wow.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone joining us. Good evening. Good evening. So how's your day been, Riri?
Ah, today has been interesting. My heart has been like up here, with the power issues, trying to sort out all of that. There was just a lot of drama today, but I'm glad we're here this evening.
The funniest thing that happened was just about I think it was 6:57. They just took the light. Boom! I say, I have gist to tell you. And like 2 minutes after that, they just brought the lights. I'm like, yeah, thank God.
So good. That's so good. Yeah.
But we thank God we're here. We thank God. We thank God we're here.
I just wanted to confirm that my audio is fine.
Yes, on my end,
Okay.
please, for everyone joining in, so I'm seeing a few names: Angela Johnson, Ade Dots. Hi, thank you, Marquis Omolade. Hi, guys, thank you for joining the live session. If you can hear Riri and myself, please do signify in the comments so that we know that we're good to go. See if anybody can hear us.
Well, if you can hear each other, then I believe people can hear us.
Okay. All right. So let's just get into the conversation. So I know that I swung this on you, but I'm grateful that I did today. So let me just share a little bit about Salty and how it all started. So this started, I think, if I'm correct, I think about last month, and I was just in a place of like I was just pardon me, I'm sweating a little bit. It's a bit hot here. So I was in a place of prayer, and I just heard Salty, and of course, inquiring, I mean, what is Salty about? And so before now, a I wanted to start an IG live series like every once a week, but I wasn't sure what day. I wasn't sure what I was going to be talking about. So when I got Salty, I just thought, oh, this is just perfect for the session. And when I got that this was going to be like a platform where I'm going to be discussing more about the soul because we have so many people talking about the spirit. We have so like an influx of people talking about the body, but
Yeah.
then we do not really have many people talking about the soul. And for the few people that are talking about the soul, you have them talking about the soul in terms of the third eye kind of thing. So you have a whole lot of magical stuff going on. So, and for the believer, the soul is a paramount aspect of your life. In fact, that's the part of you that gets born again. Your spirit is totally fine, sustained by God, but then the walking of your journey with God, everything is embedded in your soul. And we don't talk about that part enough. And we have so many people going in and out, and many people, that are very successful. So there's this scripture also that I'm using as my anchor scripture. I kind of flew out of my head, but I'll just paraphrase it. Where I was saying, I wish above all things that you prosper. Everything around you prospers, and just as your soul also prospers. So that's the whole
Mm.
essence of why soul tea. And when you drink tea now, how do you feel when you drink tea? You feel refreshed and
Yeah.
really good and relaxed. So that's the whole essence of this. So this is a conversation. It's not it's serious, but then it's a conversation. So no pressure. So that you
Right.
can just so you can just so that's the be all of what Salty is all about. And you're my first guest, since I started this. So so yes, I know I told you this was going to be a little bit like tilting towards mirror activation kind of thing, but not necessarily.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what Salty is all about in a nutshell.
Mm. Oh, I love
All
it.
right.
I love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we're going to be talking about dealing with wounds in the soul. Before now, last 2 weeks, I spoke about debris in the soul, and this has to do with the fact that so this was the understanding that I got, that we go through so many experiences in life that leaves fragments in our souls, right? So for some people, they're called memories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether good or bad, they're fragments of the experiences that you go through. And for so many people, it's just there. Those fragments are just there, and then you just move on, and then you have layers and layers and layers of debris that have built up, and then people begin to go with those wounded souls into different aspects of life and just being, right? But then the issues are there, and you find out that they manifest in different forms and in different ways, and you're asking the Lord questions like, Lord, but I'm successful, why is there no satisfaction, why is there no fulfillment, why is there, you just always feel like there's something lagging in your life.
Mm.
It could just be as a result of unattended to issues in your soul. So I
Yeah.
spoke about that 2 weeks ago. And so today I just wanted us to build upon dealing with wounds in the soul. So first I'll just ask you, Rere, um, what do you think, right, classifies as wound in the soul?
I feel like it's a wide angle question, right? For someone like me who words hit me hard, right? So
Mhm.
hurtful words can cause wounds in my own soul. They can um, Uh, so I would say, for instance, people who have been abused, people who have
Mm,
been hurt by the words that others have spoken to them, they've been torn
mm,
down by words, right? And people who have suffered some sort of mistreatment, not just
mm,
sexual abuse. There's different forms of abuse that are going on. Emotional abuse is actually, I think, I don't know which is top ranking between emotional and sexual abuse, right? But these are some of the things that cause wounds. And I would say that wounds don't necessarily look like wounds. So you can, like you said,
mm,
someone who is very successful, who has
mm,
everything, perhaps they are married, they have everything that people will think they need to be happy. And they just feel this discontent. Perhaps they're even Christians, So it's not that, oh, you don't have Jesus in your life kind of thing. But there's just something that is holding them back, like you also said. So it could be these issues that they've had in the past, that are still, they're like a dark shadow that they can't quite grasp, but it's just there. And it's like it's just tugging on them and it's pulling them back. It's not allowing them to see, to enjoy life to the fullest. right? So sometimes they might not even remember that, oh, this was what happened. But
Mm.
it's like I said, like a dark shadow. You can't quite grasp it, but you know that there's something wrong, you know.
Mm.
And I have examples of things that have happened to me over the years, and some of them I can remember the root cause, right? But for some people, they can't even remember. They just know that there's something missing, and really it doesn't feel like it's a
Mm.
relationship with God because they have that already, right? And I'm
Yeah,
not even talking religion. I'm not talking about church goers. I'm talking about
yeah,
spirit-filled people who have an active relationship with God. Yeah, so.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, actually. I feel like you put the right words in perspective for me when you said it's like a dark shadow that is just there. You can just feel it looming.
Mhm.
You can't quite place it. You're reading the word, you're very in tune with God. You've got your relationship. I think, okay, so I just thought of something. If there is one particular character in the Bible that I feel was quite in tune with that aspect of his life was David. Was
Mm.
David. Was David. I just came to my head. I
And
was
Solomon,
David
actually.
and
And
Solomon
Solomon.
and Solomon too,
Yeah.
because you could see that with the words that they spoke and the words that was, written, Psalms. I'm actually doing a study of Proverbs right now in my Bible study group, and it has just been mind blowing. And one of the things that you mentioned also was the, words. I'm also someone that, I pick words. I don't know, for some reason, I'm able to pick them and weigh them. So I'm hearing you beyond what you're saying to me. So for a very long time, it's just been a thing where I had to start praying to God about it. Like, Lord, don't let me just be reacting to everything fast because it might just
Right.
not mean anything,
Well,
but I'm that sensitive. But then I'm that sensitive towards. And today, the in Proverbs 18, verse 20-21, was also a very profound thing that was talking about how a man will eat the fruit, of his words.
mm,
His stomach will
mm,
be filled with the fruit. This is me paraphrasing. So what you just said kind of like just, intertwined into those two things. And going back to the character in the Bible, David and Solomon, you would notice a theme between both of them. They are very reflective, very
yes, very, very
reflective,
much so.
very reflective of their lives journey, of
Reflective people. Yeah.
moments, and so I think that in a way it kind of got them into a deeper intimacy with God. Like, God is like, this guy is able to, if I mean, the art is actually part of the soul work, right? So God calling him a man after my own heart is like, yo, this guy, you're able to get into that part of me that is,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
paraphrasing, so you mentioned that you do have something. So for context, right? Is there any story or any experience that you're open to share on here that we'll be able to pick up one or two things from?
Okay, well, I don't have stories that will make you start crying, right? But I do recall what I feel was the beginning of low self-esteem for me, and this was
Mm,
when I was in secondary school.
wow.
So I've been an introvert. I would say I've really been an introvert. I can carry along a conversation, and laugh with people. In fact, I can be very friendly, but I'm someone who can like to withdraw into herself. So there were this group of popular girls, not like American high school popular girls that oh, everybody's kissing them, that kind of thing. But not like those kind of girls that everybody's kissing the ground on which they walk. But these were just like more of the popular folks in school. And so there was this how do I say? There was this. Okay, yeah, I think I can say this. So there was this boy in that came to our school sometime in senior secondary class. So I think his seat was in front of mine, and I mean most of us in that class were being together maybe since JS1. So like there was already a rapport, but he just came in SS2. I think SS2 thereabouts. So he was put in front of me. I'm friendly me. We became friends. We talked a lot and all that. And so I think one of these girls liked the guy. And then in drama club. I was in drama club. I don't know what I went to do in drama club. But I was in drama club when having a drama club meeting, which of course is a collection of more than just our class. It's like all the classes across the school. And then one of them steps forward and says, Riri told me that she likes this guy. Like, bro, we didn't even have this conversation. Like, we're not friends, so how would I even admit that kind of thing to you? So it was just, I felt attacked in that moment. Like, it wasn't just in front of my classmates, it was in front of my juniors, my seniors, so it was a very, for maybe for others, you just be like, oh, it's not a big deal. But for me, I'm like an introvert. Like, why would you even? It was like lying against me, and then I don't know. It was also a really messy thing, and so I felt like that just made me withdraw more into myself. Just like my space, and also just doubting myself. Oh, am I doing enough? Am I right enough? Am I dressing well enough? All of that. This one is just it's on a lighter note, but someone had once told me that, why do you do all back? You have, like, it just makes your forehead come more prominent. That was also in secondary school since that time. I don't think I knew that I had a prominent forehead before that time until that person said it. So I was usually avoiding like all back, all of those things. It was just an offhand comment, just a random careless comment that the person made. But since then, it stuck in my head that, oh my goodness, my forehead. So it took me a while to actually come to terms with, where you are beautiful the way you are. All of these things, my forehead, my white smile, which has also been commented on, the little things. Sometimes they're like, but it's just a careless comment, right? Like, no big deal about it. But these little things sometimes they build up and they fester. They will settle and they'll fester into a huge wound. And the worst part is, it's not a wound that will be bleeding, right? It will be a wound that will scab over. So it's like there's something going on underneath, but on the surface, it looks just fine, right? It looks just fine. I feel like I had another story, a quick one, but I'm trying to remember. Um, yeah, I think. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, this one, yes. I think this was another one that impacted self-esteem, low self-esteem thing. I was around. So there was this person that my sister and I met. I can't remember my age. I'm not even sure if I was 10 years old yet then, or she was around my own age. Oh yeah, I think she was already in secondary school. So yeah, I think I was over 10. Anyways, she'll just say, me, I was discovering new things in a place. I will see this thing that I've never seen before. So what is this? What is that? And that's why she just said, you are very annoying. Ah, and I don't think it was once that she said it, it was something that she just said over and over again. And I think that was my first time of hearing the word annoying. So it was when she said it, I went to look for the meaning and then I discovered what it meant. So somehow in my young mind, it just connected that, really, you shouldn't be around people too much, they don't really want you around. You need to don't disturb people, just stay in your own lane, that kind of thing. So sometimes it's the little words that hurt people, like I said, I don't have, I can't recall. Like Bill Johnson said in one of his messages, it might be after his message that he will recall the story or the thing that he needs for that message when he doesn't need it again. But for these are the things that I can remember that, as far back as then, they were little, but they had such an impact on me.
Wow. Wow, those two stories are so profound because I mean, so that's the beauty about having a conversation about these things. Because
Mm-hmm.
what it then happens is that I know for you, you're like, oh, we're just talking about it. But for people listening in, it's a trigger, right? So it helps
Mm-hmm.
them, the people who are seem to forgotten about an incident. So, I mean, you mentioned a location and a time, right? In the past when these things happened. For some people, they're able to then think, oh, yeah, that's true. Something similar happened to me. And so it's not bringing it out so that you can sit and brood and begin to, oh, I have to revenge about it or something like that. No, but it's just saying to you that, oh, it's highlighted so that you can begin to sit on it and get healing into that place. And one very profound thing that you said, which is also one of, the fueling, one of the fuels towards why salty is happening is the fact that when you get a wound on your skin, right? You can see it. It's visible.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
are able to um, do whatever it is that you need. You clean the wound, you put a plaster on it if you need to put a plaster or whatever. So this scar, right, that I have is one of those days. It was an act of disobedience, though. So let me just share the story because my niece still looked at my scar today and she just asked, "What's this? What happened there?" I said, "It's a scar. Don't worry, Auntie was disobedient." And that's what happened. So I had a situation where I used to be in the choir when I was pretty little, then we're still in deeper life. Was one of those days my mom just said, I was going for Paris as well. And she said to me, you know, one of those moments when your parents just peek out and keep telling you, don't do this thing or don't do this thing. You're not able to tell, but it keeps resounding in your brain. And it was one of those days when she was just like, when you get to church, don't play, oh, don't play, oh. You know,
Mm.
she finished dressing me up in very, I can still remember what I was wearing. It was a white and black flowery dress. I think it could have probably been one of my favorites then. And don't play when you get to church or don't play. I say, yes, mommy. But I was so excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to see my friends in church. And I get to church. The words were resounding in my head quite all right. I got to church and waiting for the choir mistress to come. She came. She was not yet there. So we're waiting. So the others said, let's just run around now. It's not serious play. Mary, come now. Let's. I say, okay, oh. Few minutes into this our play, one of the girls just pushed me, and she pushed me to like a there was this very long stick, like a pillar in the church that had nails sticking out of it. She didn't see, nobody saw. She just pushed me. My
Oh my
cheeks
God.
went right in. I didn't feel any pain at all. Oh. All like this. The only thing was other girls were just screaming, Mary, blood, blood. I was like, blood where? I even did like this, like
Oh
because
my goodness. Oh my
it is.
God.
I can never forget. But it was just I'm just telling the story to show that this is a wound that you can see.
Yeah.
The sky is still there for me to share the story about it. It's healed up. Funny enough, the way that it healed was just pretty miraculous.
Hmm.
Like if I tell you that it was just the doctors had said, oh, we're going to have to do a surgery, we're
Oh
going to have to
no.
do this, but it wasn't big enough, right? It was just iodine and cotton wool that healed the entire. Like you could see. Let me not go too graphic for people who can't, But I'm just saying that this is the physical body, right? You can see the scar, you can see the wound. It was, cleaned up and everything. But the soul, you can't see it. You don't even know the impact of the things that have happened to you over the course of time. It's not to idolize those experiences or to
Yeah.
make it seem like, or to, like, quite a number of, I see a lot these days, and a lot of people use that trauma. It's almost like we're idolizing trauma, so much trauma. Like, yeah, because I have trauma, this is the reason why I'm behaving this way. And so I can't heal, I can't, and a lot of people stay stuck in that place. And just
Right.
like you said, it's a shadow that is being cast. You're going through everything, you're succeeding in so many things that you're doing. People are even applauding you. Wow, she's so successful, she's so this. But at the end of the day, when the lights are turned off and when it's dark, you know in your heart that there is something wrong here. And this
Right.
is exactly why I'm having this conversation. I mean, just having you share those two very profound stories. One, I mean, at the end of the day, right? So it is words. It is still words, whatever form that it may come in. Oh, maybe people rejected you. It could have been through words or action or anything. But at the end of the day, there are words that are sown in your soul. And as you move through, you're like, I'm sure when this happened to you, you were pretty young. But look at you remembering that so vividly, like it happened yesterday. And this is
Right.
exactly what it is. So I wanted you to also highlight something, and you talked about how that first situation in secondary school caused you to have low self-esteem. So how did you deal with that? I could see the effect of that act was self-esteem, right? Was a low self-esteem rather. So moving through that phase, remembering now, how did you get out of that?
Okay, so I remembered another example. So I just want to quickly share before I answer this question. So this was on more than one occasion, but I met a prophet,
Mm,
who misrepresented God to me. And the person was selling me lies about God. And when this whole thing was happening to me, I just kept telling myself that if someone had told me this would happen to me before it happened, I would have said, God forbid, I can never be that foolish. Like, oh,
mm,
I've walked with God for so long, right? But apparently it was like I had walked for God, not necessarily with God.
but
So I didn't really
wow.
know God. So when this person misrepresented God to me and exploited me, I started to feel like God does not even care. Like, why would God
Mm,
sit back and allow such a thing to happen to me? It shows that He doesn't care. All these lies were just building up. So there are sometimes that it could be a disappointment with God. I mean,
yeah,
feeling like you're
yeah,
disappointed at God. Maybe God didn't
yeah,
come through for you, and so you start to believe lies about that. Intentional maliciousness, like we've talked about, words, actions, all of that.
yeah,
Yes. So I just wanted to pick it that before I answer about the low self-esteem. I feel like I'm still on a journey of this. Of coming out of low self-esteem. There are a lot of inspirational speakers that will tell you about believing yourself, all of that good stuff. Sometimes you can recite those things 10 times and it does not make an impact on you, right? Like your mouth is saying it, but your heart is not connecting with it.
doing
So I
it,
think,
yeah,
yeah, so for me, I think what really helped over the years has been identifying my strengths, my weaknesses, and then
mm,
coming into the fullness of who God has called me. I feel like that's the foundation for me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
in host HTP, because HTP, hosting the presence,
yeah,
we're told to pull out our identity, our God-given identity. Who does
yeah,
God call me? Who does God
yeah,
say that I am? All of those wonderful things. And then from there,
yeah,
you begin to see how these truths that God says about you counter the lies that you have believed about yourself. So I feel
yeah.
like it's like your identity is a hand that is reaching and picking you up from the pit of low
From that bit,
self-esteem that you
yeah,
have been for so long. So I would say getting to know myself has been one of the ways that has brought me out of that low self-esteem. Then knowing who God calls me. So I'm not going to say, oh, let's not make it about faith. Let's be realistic. I am being realistic when I say what God calls me has literally brought me out of low self-esteem. Just knowing that God loves me unconditionally, knowing who He
mm,
calls me, knowing
mm,
the strength He says I